It's my pleasure on behalf of Cedric Larouche, who's our Executive Director and the Honorary Consul of France, and our other board members who are here present, to welcome all of you. When I was a young boy growing up on the west side of Cleveland, I had no knowledge and no hope of going anywhere beyond the world that I knew at that time, which kind of ended at Akron and Columbus and some places in western Ohio. And certainly could never dream of having ever visited or even lived in Europe and other places around the world. But it is through the generosity of some wonderful people, I actually did in my career have some opportunities to live and study overseas for about 10 years. And it's really overseas, the place where I learned the most about art outside of this building is in the time that I was in Europe. And during one of my visits to Europe, one of the times when I was living there, when we were getting ready to come back to Cleveland, our art instructor did a presentation for us, and she said, "I want to give you some final words of advice." She said, "I don't know what you're all going to do in life. I don't know what careers you're going to pursue. I don't know if you'll be married or single. I don't know if you'll be wealthy or not. But what I want to ask you to do is in your lives in the years ahead, always, always try to build something of beauty. It's not important to be the most wealthy. It's not important to be the loudest. It's not important to be the most powerful. But if you ask yourself every day, what can I do to bring a little bit more beauty into the world? It will make you a better person, and it will make our world a better place." It is in that spirit that we gather here today. We at the French-American Chamber of Commerce set out several years ago to start a project to build something beautiful and lasting in the cultural gardens here in Cleveland. And we're delighted to be able to celebrate with you today that we have completed just a very small piece of our overall plan. Richard Levitz is going to tell you a little bit about that in a few minutes, what we have just finished and what our plans are for the next steps. It's an important celebration for us. The sign that was just placed in the garden a couple of days ago will have forever the date April 7th, 2024 on it as the dedication day of that garden. And any of you who have driven by there today can see the French flag flying there over the boulevard. It's already very impressive, and we hope will become even more impressive over the years. I want to, in my comments especially, thank so many people. So if I missed anybody, I'm really sorry, but so many people have helped us get to this day. I want to thank our sponsors, first of all, for today's event. Le Cercle des Conférences Françaises de Cleveland. Judy Blair is here, and Cindy Hazelton is part of this group. So thank you. The Petite École Française de Cleveland. Alexis is here, and Sandrine represents that group. Sandrine is also on our board at the FACC. The Lubrizol Corporation, who was largely the driver for establishing the French-American Chamber 30 years ago, and was one of the big drivers for establishing the sister city relationship between Cleveland and Rouen, France, is a sponsor of today. James Strockbink from our board has a venture underway which is known as Points for Purpose, and he'd be glad to tell you a little bit about that group, and we're grateful for him for being a sponsor. And last but not least, Anne Harrell over against the wall there behind the table from Océane, has 2 stores here in Cleveland. She's brought some of her wares. She and her colleague are wonderful people to get to know, so I encourage you to stop by the table and get to know them, and thank you for your sponsorship. In addition to our sponsors, I want to thank our funders, some of our most important funders today. Many of you in this room have already been contributors to this project. We're grateful for that. We are in particular grateful to La Maison Française de Cleveland, Doug is here, and Michelle from that organization. We're very grateful for your support to date. And also the Holden Parks Foundation is one of our significant funders. And so thank you very much for helping us get to this point. You'll see some of our other partners listed on some of the slides here. The people from Extine Surveyors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Aztec, who did some of our social media work, et cetera, et cetera. We're extremely grateful, and especially grateful to Todd Nisik and Lisa Gallowitz and Heather from the Cleveland Museum of Art. They've been wonderful partners to work with. So, with no further ado, I want to turn it over to our honorary consul for France here in Northern Ohio, Cédric Lerouge.
Hello everyone. It's a privilege to be here today on this day, April 7th. We are accomplishing together a great milestone. So what I wanted to tell you today is basically to reflect on those many years that brought us to this day. Many of you contacted us at the Chamber of Commerce. Many of you wanted a French garden to be in that magnifique boulevard here in Cleveland. And many of you inspire us to move forward. So thank you for that. Many of you were sometimes frustrated. Many of you pursue. And it's a community effort. That's what I want to highlight today. Everybody had to face COVID at some point. We were starting our project and trying to break ground during that time. We had to delay. We continue, we pursue. We had more donation coming in. I think you all should be very proud of today's celebration. There's about, I believe the count is 94 donation today on our GoFundMe page. This is significant. This is significant for multiple things. We have great corporation partner helping us, and more will come. But I see that as a grassroots movement, as a community movement. 94 is a significant number, and all of you here contributed in one way or another. So this is my message today, and I will continue to press on that message, is that you contributed not only in monetarily when you done some donation, but we have many volunteers that help the French American Chamber of Commerce to put events like this together, sometime at the Art Museum. Sometimes we also fundraising by drinking Beaujolais Nouveau, which is quite a task. And I admire all of you for your participation. And we've been doing that for many years. And today is quite special. So as you reflect and enjoy today's celebration, I want you to think about your contribution to this point, but also your contribution in the future. We have a vision, and I say we at large. I venture to include everybody and try to echo everybody that came to us, me and Larry and the committee of this garden, to give us some ideas of how to grow that garden. And that's how that theme came up. We wanted to be a community garden. We wanted to be a garden that everybody can enjoy, everybody can reflect on the French culture, its influence, but also enjoy their participation in the local community. So I want you to think maybe of not so far away now that the garden is going to be open, right? To actually go there and enjoy the garden. Have a picnic, or go with some friends. Invite the schools to come over and starting to experience and have great moment inside the garden. The first symbols that we put in place here is the hexagon. So it's often mentioned to represent France, as it's somewhat shaped France. We had to tweak it. It's quite a challenge. But I don't want to forget in that et that representation all the départements d'outre-mer et leur région that are a whole part of France. So yes, we talked about France as the hexagon, but there's more regions that represent France, and they're part of that garden as well. In that hexagon, Richard's going to talk more about all of the construction, the planning, and the why behind all those designs that have been put together. I'm just going to mention just a few about our attempt of that hexagon. Is to make sure that we engrave, literally, visitors from France, French offer that visit Cleveland. We want to engrave their names and make sure they remember as they visit Cleveland. For us, we want to be, I think all of us being in Cleveland, we want Cleveland to be a destination. And representing the French Garden, we want to be as well a destination for visitors from France, representing France and its culture, to stop by the garden, enjoy the garden, and we will find a way to engrave their names and their impact in the local community. So that's one of our ideas that we want to have in that community garden. Again, it's a garden that we want all of you to experience, have the memory inside that garden, and we want to grow it with you. So, in final comment, I just want to thank all of you because you're part of today and you're part of tomorrow. So thank you so much.
As you know, the cultural gardens are part of there are over 30 cultural gardens here in Cleveland, and they are overseen by an organization called the Federation of Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation. Dr. Wael Khoury is the president of that board. We also have from the Federation Lori Ashik, who's been a wonderful help to us, and she has a very challenging and difficult role, so we're grateful for her support. We also have Dan Hansen with us, who's a member of the Federation board. So Dr. Khoury, could I ask you to make a few comments?
Thank you very much, Larry, and thank you very much, Cedric, for great presentation. Heartfelt, really, the way you put it, hard work. On behalf of the board of the Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation and our executive director, Ms. Lori Ashik, I would like to extend my warmest congratulations for the launching of the French Cultural Garden. This has been in the making for some time, and it couldn't have happened if it wasn't for the hard work of Mr. Larry Miller, the French-American Chamber of Commerce president, and the active personal leadership of Mr. Cedric Lerouge, the Honorary Consul of France in Cleveland. A sincere gratitude to the entire community for rallying in supporting of this project. The Gardens Federation and the City of Cleveland have been looking forward for this accomplishment, especially with the special ties between Cleveland and Rouen in France. Cleveland became a sister city to Rouen. The city, Rouen, was the city that hosted prominent physicians from Cleveland during World War I, and most of them came and established the Cleveland Clinic. Very close ties. The French culture has been on the forefront of human experience. Liberté, égalité, and fraternité have been the inspiration of millions of people around the world. Cleveland would be so enriched by having a strong representation of French culture in its midst. I encourage you to highlight your culture. The Cleveland Cultural Gardens are a gem in our city and region, a unique collection of cultural diversity in a beautiful park, packed with monuments of cultural icons from all around the world. CCGF, the Gardens Federation, is working diligently to expand the international representation in the park. We are growing in leaps from 35 gardens to 45 gardens. we are expanding our educational, artistic, and cultural programs. We had a banner One More Day last August. Estimated about 30,000+ people attended the event. We like our Centennial Peace Plaza, that you see the picture was here. We like our Centennial Peace Plaza to be the gathering space of people of the world, celebrating their cultures and living together according to our motto, peace through mutual understanding. I just want to mention two important upcoming events and hope to see all of you there. One More Day, our biggest banner project for the year, is going to be last Sunday of August usually. It's August 25th. And this is a major event throughout the whole park. All the gardens will be celebrating, and we have parade of the flags of the nations. We had over 50 nations marching behind their flags, showing their costumes and their music and their celebration. It was a memorable experience. And then, for a special event this year, there's the Pan Am Master Games in July, and we're going to have an event on Saturday towards the end of the event, a big event in the gardens at the plaza, July 20th. So hope you see you there. We're going to have international music and dance and international food. Again, warmest congratulations, and looking forward to enjoying the great new addition, the French Cultural Garden. Thank you.
I mentioned that we're focusing on two beautiful works, two things of beauty today. One is our garden, and one is the Monet in Focus exhibit. So to tell us a little bit more about what we have built to date in the garden and what our plans are for the future, I'd like to introduce Richard Levitz, who is our architect, and also Jamie Schwartzberg is in the room, who is our landscape architect. They've been a wonderful team to work with, and so I want to introduce Richard and ask him to say make a few comments.
Thank you, Larry. Good afternoon, everybody. Beautiful sunny day in Cleveland.
With cherry blossom.
Cherry blossom. I would like to thank the French American Chamber of Commerce for allowing us to design the French Garden. And Larry Miller, Cedric LaRouche, Eric Novello, and Michel Noel for all instrumental in the visioning and execution of the design. And I will say that one of the things that we love the most, that they always brought the best wine and cheese to all our meetings. It's true. We also wish to thank Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation, in charge of all the multinational and multicultural gardens, in particular Laurie Ashik and Wael Curry for their support and guidance. And very important, I wish to acknowledge my design and construction partners, and Jamie Schwartzberg with Deru Landscape Architecture, who is over there. Raise your hand, Jamie, people can see you. And I just want to everybody know that anything garden, you must have a landscape architect on board. It's really important. Either leading the design, if it's a landscape design, or as a partner in the project. So, and this is what I tell anybody who's planning a cultural garden, I make that as a strong recommendation. The other partners are Rough Neon, the Bridge Fabricators, Everybody Contracting, and Maxine Surveyors. So, I know Larry asked me to focus on, this is phase 1A and 1B, these two areas, but I thought that I wanted to, and they only gave me a minute, I really want you to understand the journey of the entirety of this project, because the journey is kind of the way it's going to be phased in how it's going to get built, and in the process they need money, and they told me I could ask for, please give lots of donations to this project, so I will say that. So In a few words, the French garden design will provide visitors a welcoming glimpse of French culture and history. It will embody the strong connection, the profound bond between France and the United States, and Cleveland in particular. Starting with the Monet-Giverny-inspired bridge at the lower north corner hexagonal plaza over here, and Cedric explained the symbolism of the hexagon. It is both a formal gateway and represents a bridge allegory. At the top of the hill, directly connecting to the neighborhood, that's at the other end over there, at that crossing of Ansel and Wade Park is the Friendship Community Plaza, which will have cafe tables and chairs around the beautiful existing old black oak tree. It's a black oak tree, right, Jamie? So that's an existing tree. You can actually see it this spring and flower into the summer. And we're building that plaza around it because we wanted to make that connection to the community very immediately. Following the slope down the middle of a formal bosque, as you see coming down the hill, that's a very steep hill, you will arrive at a raised pétanque court that can double in use for playing the game. Do you all know what pétanque is? Yes? Oh, good. I won't compare it with any other games at this point. Anyway, so it can be used for playing the game or for seasonal events, catered by food trucks parked at the adjacent drive, which is over here. And this is a driveway that at some point we would like to get the permission that we could actually have parked trucks here so that we can cater events in this platform. So going further downhill via double garden steps, in mirror image, you descend further into an amphitheater sloping down with gradual grassy terraces, ending at an ample hexagonal stage for events and presentations. In the center of the entire garden, this area, the area will be kept natural to be used for annual changeable art installations for professional artists as well as community and school participants. Could be a biennial and make it, withdraw, perhaps some kind of exchange program. And finally, as an homage to the Tour de France in this area, we provide along the sidewalks a series of bike racks and bike repair stations in the actual shape of multicolored bicycles. For more detailed discussions, Jamie and I will be here. There's a computer set up with changing slides with more detail, and we'll be around to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much.
The second beautiful thing we want to celebrate today is the Monet in Focus exhibit. So I'm going to ask Heather Lamonides to say a few words about the exhibit.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you all for being with us today. I'm Heather Lamonides Brown. I'm the Curator of Modern European Art here at the CMA. I'd like to thank Larry Miller and everyone at the French American Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event here at the museum and for their really dedicated work in developing the French Cultural Garden. I think what you're doing is so admirable, and I thank you. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize all those who made Monet in Focus possible, including the Musée Marmottan Monet, and the Academy of Fine Arts Paris, the Gottlob family, Patty and Roger Copal, and all those who support the CMA Fund for Exhibitions. It's certainly serendipitous that we're celebrating the milestone of the French Cultural Garden as we're opening an exhibition of work by one of France's most celebrated artists, and that exhibition, of course, focuses so much on Monet's water lily garden at Giverny. The origins of the exhibition date back to the early years of the pandemic, when the CMA, the St. Louis Art Museum, and the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art were all approached by the Musée Marmottan Monet, and we were each asked to lend one of our 3 panels of Monet's triptych, Water Lilies Agapanthus. As you may know, the CMA acquired Water Lilies of Agapanthus in 1960. It's the left-handed panel of a triptych. The St. Louis Museum of Art bought the central panel in 1956, and the Nelson Atkins purchased the right panel in 1957. The Musée Marmottan, in collaboration with the Fondation Louis Vuitton, wanted to reunite the triptych for a very special exhibition, Monet Mitchell, in 2022. That exhibition, of course, compared the late work of Claude Monet with American abstract expressionist Joan Mitchell, who was profoundly influenced by Monet. There were a lot of negotiations that went over a period of months and many, many Zoom conversations, and eventually the 3 Midwest museums agreed to each lend a panel of the triptych in exchange for 3 paintings from the collection of the Musée Marmottan Monet. It's quite a thing for us to lend the Monet Water Lily Agapanthus triptych in Cleveland as it is in St. Louis and Kansas City. They're visitor favorites, and really the day that we moved the water lily canvas from upstairs, where it usually is on the 2nd floor, immediately we had people saying, "Where are the water lilies?" And I hope that your garden will be as much of a draw as the water lily painting here is at the museum. So, as you probably know, the Musée Marmottan has the largest collection of Monet's paintings in the world, and they agreed to lend 3 of those paintings by Monet to CMA, St. Louis, and Kansas City. We are the grateful recipient of a wonderfully fresh study of Rouen Cathedral from 1892, which reveals Monet's wonderfully dexterous handling of paint and his inventive use of color. We also borrowed a painting of his water lily pond from 1907 that eliminates all hints of horizon or surroundings and purely focuses on the surface of the pond and its reflective qualities. A summer evening and the salmon gold colors of the setting sun are what we see on the mirror-like surface of the pond. It was at this time when he was painting that water lily painting that Monet allied himself with the symbolist poet Stéphane Mallarmé and the composer Claude Debussy. And I think you see in Monet in the very early years of the 20th century, that kind of reflective, slightly melancholy, and introspective sort of a mood that we find when we listen to Debussy. The third and final work on loan from the Musée Marmottan is one of a series of late Japanese bridge paintings that Monet painted in 1918. The Japanese bridge that Monet had built in 1895, to which he added a wisteria-covered trellis in 1904, is really the star of the painting. Its freedom of handling, bold brushstrokes, and vivid palette make such works irresistible to the abstract expressionists of the mid-20th century and proved influential in ways that Monet could never have imagined himself. To me, the painting looks as bold to me today as it must have to visitors and viewers to Monet's studio in 1918. You can see these 3 paintings from the Marmottan in the Julie and Larry Pollock Focus Gallery at the CMA, alongside 2 paintings from CMA's own collection, Water Lilies Agapanthus and the Gardener's House at Antibes, until August 11th, later this summer. I hope you'll enjoy the exhibition, as you also enjoy the French Cultural Garden. What a perfect pairing of 2 projects. Thank you so much.
Okay, as we come to the end of our formal presentation, I just want to introduce, first of all, a group that's with us. There's a group of students from John Carroll University who has joined us today, and with them are some students from Normandy in France, from the Neoma School in Rouen. And so we want to say bienvenue à tous et à toutes, and thank you for being with us. And We look forward to working with you in the weeks and the months ahead. I also want to thank the team that helped put this event together today. Sandrine Clairon, Eric Novello from our board as well, Tricia Queeland, who's over here, and Catherine Holmes, who helped us with some of the beautiful graphic work that you see before you.